What makes for a good leader? Let's find out on this special edition of Behind the Headlines next.
This is Behind the Headlines, with behind-the-scenes analysis on issues affecting Pennsylvanians, sponsored by the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy. Now, here's your host.
Hi, welcome to a special edition of Behind the Headlines. I'm Charlie Greenewald, Senior Fellow for the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy. And on this special edition of Behind the Headlines, we would like to examine the issue of leadership. This is certainly a quality that we need in today's world, and we're very fortunate to have with us today one of America's and one of Pennsylvania's corporate and state leaders, Dr. Derek Hathaway. Derek, welcome to Behind the Headlines.
Thank you, Charles. Good to see you and good to be here, and thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege for you to join us, and we thank you very much for sharing your expertise on leadership with us. Let me share some background information, if it won't be too embarrassing to you, but your life is a study in leadership, if you will. Derek Hathaway retired in 2008 as the chairman and the chief executive officer of the Harsco Corporation, one of the world's leading diversified industrial service companies with businesses in construction, steel, energy, and railways. Mr. Hathaway oversaw the growth of Harsco's market capitalization from $250 million in 1994, to more than $5 billion upon his retirement, with 22,000 employees in 50 countries. A native of the United Kingdom, Mr. Hathaway's career began at the age of 16 when he left school to work as a junior draftsman at a Birmingham heating and engineering firm. By night, he took classes in mechanical engineering and management accounting. At the age of 22, he co-founded a firm that manufactured industrial heating units. 6 years later, his company went public, and ultimately it was acquired by Harsco. At the age of 40, Mr. Hathaway moved to the United States to work in Harsco's headquarters near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, of course, ultimately becoming the chairman and the CEO of Harsco. Throughout his career, Mr. Hathaway has shared his personal and professional gifts to benefit others. He's served on the boards of many public corporations and charitable institutions in both the United Kingdom and the United States. He has a special interest in healthcare, education, and the administration of the law, and he served as a magistrate in the criminal law courts in Birmingham before he emigrated. Did you have to wear one of the white wigs? You didn't?
No.
Okay. That's something that all Americans think of, Derek.
No.
In recognition of his charitable work and his service to industry in both Britain and America, Mr. Hathaway in 2008 was honored by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II with the Order of the British Empire. 10 years earlier, he had received the prestigious Ellis Island Medal of Honor, which recognizes, quote, remarkable citizens who exemplify outstanding qualities in both their personal and professional lives, unquote. He has been awarded 3 honorary doctorates. Mr. Hathaway, who became an American citizen in 1991, speaks passionately to young entrepreneurs and business students about strategic leadership. You find that he and his wife, Margaret, have been married 44 years. That's an accomplishment, a great accomplishment in and of itself. And they have 3 sons, a grandson, and 4 granddaughters. They make their home in Pennsylvania, where they pursue their public service and charity interests, and they administer the Derek C. and Margaret I. Hathaway Family Foundation. Now, many people in Pennsylvania and the United States have known about you being honored with the Ellis Island Medal of Honor Award, but it's my opinion that fewer here know about your receiving the Order of the British Empire from Queen Elizabeth II. Now, these 2 awards certainly have tried to recognize, tried to reward you for your leadership here and around the world. Actually, let's share with our viewers what your ceremony looked like when you were given the Order of the British Empire by the Queen. Let's take a quick look.
Dr. Derek Hathaway for services to charity in the United Kingdom.
investitures are traditional, and I'm always absolutely fascinated by the people who come and all the things that they've done, and they all have different reactions. They all can tell you something different, and if you ask the right questions, or if if you know a little bit about what happens there, you can always, it is always different. Some of them are very cleverly discovered. I think that's very important. The system does discover people who do unsung things, that perhaps the local people know about, but nobody else does. And I think that's very satisfactory. One mustn't have a long conversation, obviously, because you would never finish. The question you ask is what is you hope that you're going to get the answer that you want. Some say that this is for the people I work with. It's a representation rather than for themselves, which is also nice. This is also meant to be a pat on the back. And I think people need pats on the back sometimes. It's a very dingy world otherwise.
Derek, what did the Queen and you discuss? If we may ask.
Well, of course, it wasn't really a discussion. It was just a quick to and fro. She amazed me with the way she'd been briefed and mentioned one or two things that would have taken a great deal of research on her staff's part to have understood. And as your viewers will probably see, there was an amusing exchange, and frankly, it was based upon my surprise that she knew this information, and it's typical of the kind of woman that she is. And of course, so long on the throne of England, living a life of service and duty herself, most times, of course, going beyond the call of duty and facing all kinds of angst. She is a wonderful example of what true leadership is all about in the service of your country and your fellow man.
Well, we shared this with our viewers, so they know if anyone has credentials of leadership, it's certainly you, to have been awarded two of the highest awards in both the United Kingdom and the United States. We're so pleased to have you with us. I start out most of my classes in government these days with a assertion that virtually all the problems that we have in the world today, or certainly in our nation, are a result of poor leadership decisions. How do you size up this current day's leaders vis-a-vis prior generations, Derek?
Well, I think the real problem is that the world is so instant. We have instant this, instant that, instant food, instant gratification. And with the media so active these days, that leaders and people feel compelled to say something. And it seems to me that one of the weaknesses of that is that unless you are especially talented and quick-minded and fast on your feet, then you don't have the time really to give matters the appropriate consideration. And we tend to be reactive, and even we make decisions when in fact judgment, which seems to me to be the ultimate in reaction and decision making in a progressive manner, fails because of time. I learned about that in the courts, as you've alluded to. I spent 5 years trying criminal cases in England, and the one thing I had on my time, and I knew I had on my time, on my side, was time.